Angika abhinaya I think for me, according to me, in any dance form, just by doing one step in that particular form, people can identify, the audience can identify which form that is. For example, in Kuchipudi, as soon as we do this movement, the way we stretch our body and our looks itself can signify which style we are doing. So definitely Angika Abhinaya, in that sense, even any particular Abhinaya can be an identifier, an identifying factor for that style. And Kuchipudi in particular is known for its scintillating, vibrant, at the same time, graceful movements. But if I have to touch upon Angika Abhinaya in Kuchipudi, I think we have to very importantly consider a spectrum. That is the time frame and the transitions, the transformation that the form of Kuchipudi has gone through right from its beginning, the initial times to where we are today. And especially Kuchipudi, I think it is, all forms have of course gone through transformations based on, with the changing times, but I feel Kuchipudi has, the changes that we have seen is quite vast. What was once a male dominated group dance tradition, technically what we call the Natya Mela, is today also seen as solo dance format, more like a solo dance format performed by women. So what is this? In this spectrum, if we have to see Angika Abhinaya, earlier, when Kuchipudi started off, as I said, it was performed by male. So these dancers, right from when they woke up, the first thing, of course, after bathing, what they would do is they would practice these warm-ups. And because it was performed by men, these warm-ups were very vigorous. However, once the solo format of Kuchipudi developed, we saw that even the repertoire changed. These compositions, they started becoming distinct, because of which the Angika Abhinaya also started, the postures became more broad, they became more refined over time.
If you take a kaleidoscope and you assume kaleidoscope is to be scriptures, right? The beats in that is the different art forms. So depending upon the region where it was nurtured, where it was cultured, traditionalized, it forms different patterns of the same thing. So in the same manner, the atom, I'll come back to the Mohini part of it, but the atom, where, like I explained, this is takka dimmi, takka junnu. But in Mohiniattam, you travel that movement. You do takka dimmi, takka junnu, and hence if the beat is slow, you can explore a lot more in Mohiniyattam, but need not necessarily be that everything needs to be slow. So that is the difference. So Angikam in Mohiniyattam is very controlled. So I would like to conclude the talk on Angikam with a small dance piece, which
to say is many people identify a dance form, especially the common man, with the aharya. Now, I think most of you in the seminar would have heard of Satyabhama. She is one of the most beloved consorts of Krishna. And for us in Kuchipudi, she can be called the queen of Kuchipudi. And it would begin this way. A person who's already got the Satyabhama's character would enter the stage and they would have a curtain. We have got one which we use. That would be a plain curtain this way. A plain curtain with the braid. The Satyabhama is known for her long braid, which is called the jada. I'll come back to it later. So they would put this. Okay? Unfortunately, I don't have as long as that. And they would, it once they put out the braid of the character, it was like an open challenge. if there is anybody in the audience who can challenge the present artist playing Satyabhama, then there would be a duel between the two. There would be judges, and people would decide who is at. And after that, the performance would continue. And if there was nobody in the audience to challenge, then of course the performance would continue as usual. After, if there's no challenge, the program would start with this one composition called Jada Bharata. In Kuchipudi, as I said, you would have seen that long braid. So in Jada Bharatam, this Jada is not just famous because of Satyabhama, but it is famous because of the meaning that is hidden behind this. Apparently, most of you might know of Vishwakarma. He is the chief architect of the Devaloka, and he had a boon from Lord Shiva that whatever he thinks of or he visualizes he should have the capacity to bring it alive and charm the world. Similarly, he envisioned of creating this something very beautiful jada, and he created a jada. Okay? And this apparently, once this was created by Vishwakarma, he gave it to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva, in turn, they say, gave it to Lord Brahma. And from Brahma, obviously, he gave it to Saraswati. And as I said earlier, Kuchipudi dancers, the male dancers would impersonate themselves into female roles. So in these Yakshaganas, for example, even in Satyabhama, she's from a royal family. So to show her, they would wear a silk sari, generally with a golden border to show that she is the descendant of a royal family. And sometimes if it was unaffordable for them, they would also go with some lesser quality silk for Satyabhama. And they say she had 7 different kinds of, right from her outfit to her jewelry, to match the 7 different days in a week. She would wear each color because every day has an auspicious color. She was so fond of dressing up that she would match all of these, and that's the kind of jewelry she had. So this is how the ornamentation in Kuchipudi has come by. And like I said, each role had a different ornamentation. So that was how much of ornaments they had, and people who would carry this in trucks from one place to another. And I feel this is also of late has become a very important identifying ornament for Kuchipudi. And maybe,
like she said, aharya is something that even the common man identifies a dance to be, and it's become now a boon, of course, but it is also a disadvantage because now anybody will wear a Mohiniattam costume for a dance competition, whether it is on show or whether it's outside, and dance what they want, and suddenly, yes, this is Mohiniattam, right? Because there is the white costume, there is the bun, and they know that this is how it is. And the aharya is that powerful. It is the least, among the four, I feel personally, is the least um, uh, effect on the actor or the dancer, but the most effect on the audience. If you have to watch suddenly these four, the first way you would identify and divide is looking at the aharya, right? So that is the present differentiation, and of course it is also related to culture and the journeys they come from. The what they wore was what they wear in daily life, which is, when you think of Kerala, what are the two things that come into mind? Gold and white. So you would see the traditional Mohiniyattam artist wearing veluttha sari, like the one which I am wearing, okay, with a golden border, and there will be uh, earrings which are very traditional to um, Kerala, or Elakkathali, and everything is done in gold. Right now, somewhere down the line, when it got mixed up with Dasiyatam, and perhaps somewhere in that journey, and it also was also introduced to temple jewelry. But these days, just like in this, if you can see this green color, see how the green color, yeah. So before, that wasn't present. There was just the white border, and gold border to the white sari. And suddenly, somewhere down the line in the recent times, the set saris and the Kerala saris of Kerala suddenly started having color in them. When that tradition was introduced, color was introduced to that tradition, Mohiniattam, which was always taken from this tradition, also took in that color. And people started having the courage to explore. In fact, it is now that people are actually thinking of exploring. And that too is questioned, by the way. It's not very easy. And yeah, but people are questioning it now. And uh, in some ways, but I feel in the pattern that in the bracketed lasya that Mohiniyattam is moving right now, even though we are slowly trying to break those brackets and see and peep and see what will happen if I add this color to my costume, what will happen if I add a lot of color to my costume. Bun that we wear to the side, there's an interesting story there as well. So before the Kalamandalam intervention, even when after Kalamandalam took over and said, hey, let's do something during this Swadeshi movement, let's preserve our culture and let's see what we can do with Mohiniyattam. It got labeled as this poor cousin of Bharatanatyam. And it was because they were wearing the same jada as the Bharatanatyam artists. They were wearing sari like the Bharatanatyam artists in Kalakshetra. It was white perhaps, and that is all the difference was. And it was all same. There was this live orchestra which was sitting behind and which came to the side. All that was happening, and suddenly people couldn't see the difference. And that is when Guru Satyabhama and the faculty came up with the idea that, hey, she and the other faculty members saw Raja Ravi Verma's paintings and said, the hair is to the side. How about we do that? And that's how from a plaid, it went, or a braided jere, it went to the side. And that became the identity of Mohiniyattam. But even today, Kalyani Kutiyama, who was very against that idea, saying that that is not traditional Mohiniyattam. Traditional Mohiniyattam should be braided because it symbolizes the chakras on your back. And it should be in that manner because it is scientific and stuff like that. And she could not see why Kalamandalam was doing this. Her family, Guru Smita Rajan, who performs even today, wears, and their Bani students still wear their hair braided. That is.
Actually, Maharshi Bhagachandra, I said earlier, I mentioned his name earlier. Maharshi Bhagachandra dreamed of Sri Krishna, and Sri Krishna in his dream was directing that what should be the costume of Radha, the entire Rasliya costumes actually. Krishna always wear white, white dhoti. He's Pitambar. He's called Pitambar. I can show you some of them I have. This you can see, yeah, the temple border. This is what the Krishna wears in Manipuri dance. Okay, the thing I am wearing is called fanek. Okay, this and this. I will show this. This is the this is called khoi. That this particular pattern. Okay, this we wear in our recitals and when we do the lasya items. Okay, and we can't wear it and do the tandav dances. I mean, yeah, we can't do that. We always wear dhoti, which called fajom, and there are some inner fees I'm wearing, dupatta kind of thing, and also this kind of thing. Okay, So this all are classical. Krishna and all Sakhi and Radha wears this nupur, and all are handmade. I mean, there is no machine works and all that. Yeah. So these things Krishna told him, I mean, Maharishi Bhagavad Chandra in his dream, and over the years. Oh, sorry. I can't show you the costume that Radha and the Gopi wears. That is the identity of Manipuri dance. And I know if you think of Manipuri dance, you will think of that big round skirt. I was telling about Maharis. Maharis wear spotless white sarongs kind of skirts. Okay, that's a different. That's pre-Vaishnavite era's costume. And Shruti was telling that how the costume has changed over the period of time. Here I can say that in the British era, that they saw the gowns that the British ladies wore used to wear. So they took the concept, they make it that much big and round like that big skirt, and that thing we call tumbi in our head. Okay, that comes from the Rajasthan. So here I feel that the influences from everywhere they took, and they kind of changed the costumes over the time. And yeah, I mean, Maithili, Sanskrit, Brojaboli, there is a language called Brojaboli, and ancient Bengali. Okay, we all use this, their verses in Manipuri music. Okay, I will sing for you. नृत्यतिराधा ततंग ततंग धान धान ठीक ठीक भैरी पुलोलन नृत्यतिराधा ततंग ततंग को कथुंग थुंगिता कद्रिमिधि लांग धीमी द्रिमिकी द्रिमि मा डोलनादंग नृत्यतिराधा ततंग ततंग. If you hear this, what you see? I mean, but by hear this, you kind of thought of, you can think of a Lasya dance, which is very soft and beautiful and komal, and Lalita is there, you know? Yeah, this is what Vachika Abhinaya does to audience. I mean, in our dance and also in Kathakali, there's some sounds we ought. I mean, we hey, okay, this kind of words, this kind of sounds we use to show power, more powerful thing. And I think that language is no barrier. The barrier.
The word Vachika, which means sound, Vachika Abhinaya, which means expression through sound. But when we also say Vachika Abhinaya, it is also about how the artist develops in Vachika Abhinaya. And then, of course, the system of language varies. Me, I personally feel that the language of dance is dance itself. In classical dance, even in Mohiniattam, if you see, the only Vachikam that one could see is the music, the song, and the music empanel, which creates sounds, and the environment of that. Traditionally, or rather largely, the method of dancing, we do not use anything, not even a lip sync on stage. And what you hear is the music. It could be Supanam, it could be Carnatic. There are two different margams that we use in Mohiniyattam.
I can certainly say that Vachika abhinaya has a very special place in Kuchipudi. So, as I said, Kuchipudi dancers, you already know you're already familiar that they were themselves their own costume designers. Similarly, they were singers, actors, writers as well, because they had a very strong hold on the language in which most of the traditional compositions in Kuchipudi were. That was the Telugu, and it also became simpler and easier because they were addressing the audience were from the Andhra land. They used to have dialogues in between compositions. And because they were also singers themselves, they would sing and dance. So maybe I feel to give a slight of relief in order to breathe for the artist, also they included the dialogues. Perhaps this is my perception. But also because to grab the attention of a common man. And maybe because these artists would sing and dance, they would gasp for breath, and there was some kind of a discontinuity. So to fill up these gaps, they would have dialogues. And because they were dancing, if you see the way the music is tuned in Kuchipudi, we use the Carnatic music for the songs, but the way they are rendered is very different. Even today, sometimes we have a problem when we have musicians who are well versed in Carnatic music. When they choreograph, when they compose music for Kuchipudi, they will be telling Mohana Raga or they will be telling a known Raga, but the way the same Raga is rendered in Kuchipudi is very different. Probably because the dancers were also singing. So even if you see the rhythmic passages in Carnatic, there is a rule that when you switch from one speed to another, there is a certain way to it. But in Kuchipudi, we don't necessarily follow it. So from one speed, when we have to change to a faster or a slow speed, it can be sudden. In Carnatic, it's definitely not allowed to change speeds like this. But in Kuchipudi, it is allowed. So because, as I said, it was Satvika Bhava predominant. Later on, only it was much later when the stages became as broad and we went into the proscenium stage, that the dancers could not sing and dance, and it was very difficult to also be heard by the audience. So it was then that Vempati Master Garu, he separated this. He said, let us keep an orchestra where they will give the musical support and the dancer will just dance.
Satvika has nothing to do with religion. Satvika has to do with sattva. What is sattva? It is the purest form of expression that comes, and it is there in every art form. It is not just classical dance. It is something unexplainable. There is an imagination in a person's mind, okay, the psychosis, as they say, which then comes out in communication. And how does that journey come about? It depends upon the life experiences of the artist. It depends upon where in life the person is. It depends upon the aharya. It also is enhanced. I wouldn't say it is a part, but enhanced by Angika abhinaya, Vachika abhinaya, aharya abhinaya. So when these three abhinayas come together, and this person from within brings that imagination out with the experiences and also the practice. So it is, and hence it becomes spiritual. In the Indian art forms, whether it is yoga or whether it is dance, everything is internalized, right? It begins from the internal dance, as we call it. That is the Satvika. How well can you bring it out?
Thank you, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed it just as much as we did.